I work for Now Group. We're a social enterprise that supports people with learning difficulties and autism into jobs. And I coordinate our Big Lottery funded project, the Family Service, which supports families where parents are either expecting a baby or have a child under 5 and the parent has a learning disability, difficulty or autism. We would see a range of adverse experiences with our participants. We get involved because they identify of having some form of learning difficulty or barrier to learning, but actually there's maybe a lot more issues with that family than initially we see, and we've seen a real range. It can be anything from growing up with domestic violence or in a violent relationship themselves, to drug and alcohol abuse, to being very heavily involved with social services and child protection, maybe having housing crisis, being homeless, living in between hostels and different family homes. And so we really see quite a wide range, and we would receive also a number of people disclosing that they maybe experienced childhood abuse as well. So although somebody comes through the door because of their learning disability, we soon find out by peeling back the layers that there's a lot more to the families than we initially anticipate. And I think given the nature of working with people with learning disabilities, we know that they're more likely to have those adverse experiences and more likely to live in poverty, more likely to be unemployed, and more likely to be abused. They're more vulnerable to potentially experiencing those adverse experiences in other parts of society. I think one of the biggest challenges when working with our participants who have experienced adverse childhood experiences is they have that feeling of being very overwhelmed. They maybe have a lot going on in their lives, they've just had a baby or they have young children, so they're busy people as it is, and then on top of that to have adverse childhood experiences and issues on top of that can feel very overwhelming and stressful for those people. So it's about taking that back and seeing how best we can support them as individuals, and peeling back those layers and giving them an opportunity with a trusted and safe person to discuss those issues. I think for our staff as well, it is about giving them the tools that they need to understand adverse childhood experiences and what we can do as an organisation, what our limitations are and what opportunities we have to support people, and bringing in other organisations to partner with us. So, our expertise is around the fact that the individual has a learning disability or autism, but actually what other organisations do we need to bring in to help us to deal with those challenges, and don't try to be all things to one person, and to try and partner up with other organisations who can support you in that role. I think when working with our participants who have learning disabilities, we have that additional barrier that they might need support to understand information, to communicate, and maybe during their childhood maybe have had poor relationships with other professionals, maybe haven't enjoyed their school experience or don't feel comfortable to say that they have barriers to understanding information. So it's about giving them a safe place to say, I actually don't understand this information I've been given, or I don't understand the process I'm going through, and to have a trusted person they can ask for that advice and support, and we can give that as part of our service and our support. I think one thing we've learned as a project about adverse childhood experiences is the importance of consistency. And one thing that really struck me from today's conference was about having a trusted adult for children, but I think it's really important that adults have other trusted adults in their lives. They've maybe never had that before. They've never maybe had somebody who has given them good feedback, has told them how well they're doing, but also is that trusted person that they can give information to. And I think having consistency with who's supporting them do that. I know we have had families we've worked with where there's been a change in other professionals, or they've had to move housing, so they've got to know new people, and we perhaps have been the only consistent member of staff working with them. And I think that consistency is really important because it allows you to build up a relationship, and the more you build that relationship, the more trust that comes with that relationship, and people feel that they can open up then, and by us knowing what the issues are, then we can put the right support in place to help them tackle those issues.